You're going to be talking all about local and on-page SEO. So things that you can do on your website to influence Google to rank you higher. This is an exciting one. Going to get a little bit into the details here, but overall, you should be able to handle this. And at the end of it, you should be able to optimize your site to run a bit better, which would be fantastic for you. So first thing we're going to talk about are the main influential pieces of a website, how your website should be structured specifically for optimal traffic conditions. We're going to have some tricks to get more local SEO search traffic. Obviously, that's really what we're after here. We are going to cover Google Business Profile and what we call the 3-pack. So when you do a search, typically for a business near me of some sort, you usually get that map with the 3 pins. That's what we call the 3-pack. We also call it the snack pack sometimes. But we're going to talk about how to optimize that as well, because your website influences that. So it'll all kind of work together. Now, the other piece of that is reviews. We'll talk a little bit about reviews, not a whole lot, but a little bit about why they're important and how they influence that profile. And then as a small bonus, I'm going to talk about something called time to long click. So buckle in. It's going to be fun. My name's Will Hankey. I have owned Window Treatment Marketing Pros since 2017. However, I've been doing digital marketing now for 28 years, along with my daughter, Amber. We've got some awards. I'm a mentor in the 7-figure agency program and excited to have you here today. Now, of course, with somebody that's been doing it for that long, I figured out what works, and this works really well. You can get a ton of #1 results for a lot of different searches related to what you do, where you're at, those kinds of things. And I'm going to cover these exact strategies today on this presentation. This is all part of what we call our digital dominance method. Mostly we're going to be talking about #1 here, which is website. We'll also talk a little bit about #2 and 3, I guess you could say. They all kind of work together. But for the most part, we're going to be hanging out kind of in that first website area. Now, as you know, there are a lot of different steps to a customer's journey. Today, we're going to be really hanging out all the way to the left, which is under the awareness area. We just want to get your brand more awareness, right? And there are some things you can do to get in front of more people, get more eyeballs on your website and on other assets that you have as well. So we'll be kind of hanging out in that awareness area today. I also have some free things I want to get to you at the end of today's workshop. I'll give you some things that you can go grab absolutely free, and we'll get those to you. Now, if you have questions, we're going to take your questions live. So if you're watching this on YouTube or LinkedIn or anywhere that you're watching it, Facebook, any of these platforms, if you have questions, just jump over to the chat area there and pop in your question, and absolutely we'll get those answered for you today. Would love to do that. I want to make sure that when you leave this workshop that you are 100% solid on your next steps and clear on what you need to do. Now, enough of the housekeeping. Let's kind of dive in. So just to start out, let's do a quick overview of SEO, what it kind of means, that kind of stuff. So this is a dashboard of Search Atlas, which is a tool that we use to look at websites and get some results from them. Now, in this particular case, we're doing a search for the phrase window treatments. And we can see that search, just those 2 words used together in a search, is searched 40,000 times per month. That's just for window treatments. That doesn't count window treatments near me, window treatments and some location, anything like that. So just 40,000 searches a month for the phrase window treatments, which is crazy. The amount of overall topical search volume around window treatments using all the different potential keywords that are out there is 7.2 million searches per month. So there is a ton of traffic out there. Now, if we switch over to the awning side, the overall searches per month are almost 3 times, 110,000 searches per month for awning related phrases. So pretty incredible. The one thing I notice here, I'm going to go back to window treatments. A lot of times window treatment companies think that there's a slowdown in November, December, January, and that's true for some, right? I think it depends on geographical location. But if we look at this chart and people searching for the term window treatments, really doesn't dip very much at all. So that's interesting. On the awning side, definitely a dip. Now this is interesting that you definitely see that November, December, January slowdown all across the U.S. So I found that interesting. Thought I'd share that with you. But there are a ton of searches for these different terms. So at the end of everything that you do, your website really is the foundation of all of the other efforts that you're going to do. And that's why it's number one on our digital dominance method. It is the most important thing that you need to be working on. Now, there are a lot of platforms that offer website building services, WordPress, Weebly, Wix, Squarespace. There's a lot of different ways that you could go when it comes to building a website. For my company, we only use WordPress. We've found that WordPress really is the most SEO friendly, search engine optimization friendly platform to optimize a site for, to start getting organic rankings. So we prefer WordPress, and that is the only system that we use. Now, everything that you do online, including your website, ultimately, in order to get in front of people, to get eyeballs on your brand, it's all driven by keywords. When you need a plumber, you go to your phone and you type in plumber near me. Or maybe you use Siri and say, what are some local plumbers, right? Everything is keyword driven at the end of the day. And that's what Google looks at and decides where to rank you when somebody searches for all these phrases. Now, a lot of business owners think there are only 5 or 10 different phrases they want to rank for. But as we saw, there are 40,000 searches a month just for window treatments. If you started ranking for some of these other ones that are listed here, there is a ton of traffic out there for all of these different phrases. So you want to rank for obviously as many as you can across the board. That would be fantastic. Now, let's dig in a little bit to the main SEO structure for your website, the main pieces that you need to have in place in order to start the process of getting your site optimized. The first one is called a page title. And a page title shows up at the top of your website in your browser in the little tab at the top. And I pulled up this site, Incredible Windows, just to give you an example of a website and where these are located, because they're not easy to find. In fact, they're behind the scenes. If we look at the actual HTML for this particular page, we see a whole bunch of crazy stuff going on, right? But somewhere in here, typically near the top, is a title tag. And this is just a one-liner that says, here is the title of this particular page. So we've got the brand, and then we've got their main keyword, window treatments in Middleton, Wisconsin. That is the number one thing that we want them to rank for on their homepage. So that is the title tag for that. Now, why that's important, really, because it shows up in Google the same way. So your title tag influences the Google results, right? So you can start to put your words in there that make the most sense. And obviously we're looking for people that are searching for window treatments Middleton, right? They're going to see this and they're going to say, oh yeah, that's exactly what I need. They're going to click on it. So that's why the title tag is super important. Now, behind the scenes in WordPress, there are two main SEO plugins that are kind of the two best, right? There's Yoast and there's Rank Math. My agency uses Rank Math Pro for all of our clients, but either one will have something very similar to this, where you just plug in the title of the page. You put it right in there, and that's what shows up for the most part on Google. Now, Google does get a little bit smart. They're using AI, things like that, right? That if you don't write a great title tag, or it just says home or something like that, Google's gonna rewrite that for you and show that instead of what you write. But if you write something good like this, then that's what they will typically use. Now, another piece of a website, and another one in the HTML again, is called meta descriptions. And basically, these are 2 or 3 sentences that go behind the scenes again, and it is a quick summary of what this page is about. So I'm saying this page because title tags, meta descriptions should be unique for every page on your website. They should all be different. They should explain specifically what that title of that page is and what that description is. So in here, we've got the description of Incredible Windows offers Hunter Douglas window treatments, including blind shades and shutters in Middleton, Wisconsin. Schedule an appointment now. So there's a great call to action at the end of that. And again, if we look at Google, look at that. That's what shows up in there. So if we're talking, if we're looking for ways to influence people to click on our result, this is kind of what you need to have in here. What we do, where we're at, and then a quick call to action. So this is a great meta description that's written behind the scenes here. Now, one last thing I'm going to cover is heading tags. Heading tags are kind of like when you look at a newspaper and there's headings about each different article, right? And they're in different font sizes depending on how important they are that day. When it comes to heading tags, the H1 tag is the most important heading tag on your website. And that tag typically is also your main keyword for that page. It may also match up to your page title a lot of times. So in this case, the heading tag for this page is custom window treatments in Middleton, Wisconsin. Makes sense. That's what we're after. So that is the H1 tag. Now you'll also see down below a little bit, incredible windows for impeccable designer tastes. That is not an H1 tag. It's probably a H2 or H3 or a heading 2 or heading 3 tag. Your website should only have one main heading per page. So that is the custom window treatments in Middleton, Wisconsin, in this particular case. Very important that that is in there. You can see that that also shows up in the HTML area, and it shows up right there on the site. So very important to have those in there. Now, if you want to find your tags, I would recommend you go to your website. The easiest way to do this is with something called the site trick. So the site trick, I'm going to jump over here to Google, and I'm going to put in, let's see. Let's do Incredible Windows since we've already been doing that. So I'm going to type in site : and then no spaces, site : incrediblewindows.com. Basically what this search does is it says, hey, Google, tell me what you know about this particular domain. How many pages does it have? What do those title tags and meta descriptions look like? So this is a quick, easy way to figure out what are all my title tags, what are my descriptions. Now the problem here is you can't export this, right? That would be really nice to have. So let me show you another way to go about doing that. And that is right here, a tool called Screaming Frog. This tool is free if you're scanning less than 500 pages, which most small business websites are closer to 20 pages, right? So it shouldn't be an issue for you. But look up Screaming Frog in Google. Here's what it looks like. It just comes up as some software. And then up here, we're going to put incrediblewindows.com. And I'm going to hit the start button. And this site does something similar to, or this software does something similar to the site : command. It crawls the entire website. You can see it's already 25% of the way done. It crawls every file, every page on your site. And at the end of it, it outputs oh, it's telling me I can't do more than 500. We're good there. So it outputs an Excel file, a spreadsheet that then you have all of your page titles, your meta descriptions, your H1 tags, all of that in a nice spreadsheet that you can start with. So a great tool for getting started with this. So let's see, we're at 99.6%. 2 files remaining to scan. So you can see it goes really quickly. I mean, it was probably maybe 90 seconds, maybe 2 minutes total to scan every page on your site. And now that I've got this done, I can click on this export button. Typically, I do this first. I go to HTML because I only want actual pages on my site. I don't care about scripts and other code and that kind of stuff. Change that to HTML, hit the export button, and now you can put that straight. It'll export it straight into a Excel spreadsheet for you. So really cool tool, really easy to use. I'm going to go ahead and close that out. Screaming Frog is what it's called, and you can look for that. Just Google it. It's free. So great tool to do some really cool stuff, get some more information about your website. So that's a lot of things around the structure behind the scenes of things that you need to have in place. And if you want to do an audit of your site, that would be a fantastic place to start to make sure every page has a good page title, meta description, and an H1 tag on it that explains what that page is about. So now we're going to talk about website layout, and we're going to talk a little bit more about how you should structure the page from a layout standpoint. Typically, this is how it looks. We have a home page, we have silo pages, and then child silo pages, which are typically the same subject as the silo page. And I'll explain this a little bit more here in a second. The sub-child silo pages, we don't use those a whole lot, but we definitely use these first 3 when we're building a site. So here's an example of a site, AAA Awnings out in California. These guys are doing a great job. So that's the home page, right? That's the first level. The second level, or the silo pages, are typically the same as the main navigation that you have on your site. So an about section, a product section, a service section, solutions, service area section. So those are the silo pages. There's some other ones here, projects and gallery. These are probably more like one-off pages for your site. They're not necessarily top level, right? They're just, we also need to get these pages built into the site as well. So now we can see if I click on service areas. So under service areas, so we've got the home page, right? Then we've got the silo pages, which is about products, services, solutions, service areas, projects. Those are those silo pages. When I click down into one of these results here, I'm going to move to a child silo page. So everything is built under service areas in this case. And it takes me to Anaheim Hills, California, right? This is a city page specifically for the silo page of service areas. So now we've got an individual child silo page that is all about Anaheim Hills, California, and of course, awnings, right? That needs to be on that page as well. So now if somebody does a search for awnings near me and they're in Anaheim Hills, it's very likely that this page will show up for them. And ultimately, that's what we're after here. Everybody thinks they want their homepage to rank #1 for all kinds of search terms. But in reality, if somebody does a search for awnings near me or awnings Anaheim Hills, California, we want them to see this page and we want them to land on this page. We don't want them to land on our homepage, go to service areas, go to Anaheim Hills, and then start looking at things, right? Why make them do 3 clicks? So we want to build pages where they're landing right on the page that is the most relevant for what they're after. And that's where these child silo pages can start to come in. So that is the overall structure for a typical website, and that's the way that we structure them for our clients as well. So let's jump over and talk a little bit about keywords. So we kind of mentioned this earlier. Keywords are important. You have to know what kind of keywords people are searching for, and we need to do some research to find out what are people typing in that I need to be part of that conversation, right? Google Ads has a fantastic keyword planner tool that they use. The keyword planner here is a free tool. You just have to have a Google Ads account. You don't even have to be spending money on ads to get in here. You just have to have that account set up. So that is the keyword planner tool here. And we also have, there's a couple different third-party tools that we use. We use one called Search Atlas. This is the Keyword Magic tool dashboard. And you can see, you just put in a main keyword. In this case, I put in window treatments, and you can see the other keywords that are related. There's also a tool called Ahrefs, ahrefs.com. That one's great. There's also one similar to this called SEMrush, R-U-S-H. Those tools all pretty much do the same thing, but you can put in some sort of main keyword, and it will give you other keywords that are also important. There's also a really cool website called Answer the Public, and you can plug in a main keyword. Let's say we put in awnings, and it will give us all kinds of other searches of things related to awnings that people search for. So very cool way to find out all kinds of different keyword ideas that people may be typing in to find you. So one other tool that is really neat is Trends, Google Trends. Trends.google.com is where you would go to find out more about that. But this, you just plug in a keyword. So in this case, I put in window treatments, and it shows me kind of what has been the trend for that particular search over the last couple of years. And then at the end, it even has the little dots where it's estimating where next month is going to be, right? So pretty cool little tool. The other thing you could do here is you can compare different searches. So how many people are looking up window treatments versus window coverings? In the industry, we use window coverings a lot, but the average user, public, does not use window coverings. As you can see, a lot more people use window treatments. So that's how we need to optimize our site to use that word over coverings, right? And you would learn that because of the Google Trends tool. So check that out. Now, we also have, I've built out a top 81 window treatment keywords. I also have one for awnings. You can grab that absolutely free. You don't have to opt into anything. Just put this in there, shoot the QR code. You'll land on the page and be able to download those. So instead of doing a ton of research right off the bat, let me give you a shortcut. So grab this, wtmarketingpros.com/keywords. We'll get you there. You can download one list, both lists. I don't care. Go grab those. I think that would be really good to help you get started on what keywords should I be paying attention to. Now, another thing that we need to pay attention to is the Google Business Profile. This, obviously, very important. If we look at search distribution by query type here, we can see that 20 to 25% go to ads, and then 60 to 75% of the remaining clicks go to the 3-pack or the first 3 organic results. It is hugely important to be in this 3-pack. For our clients, 60 to 70% of their leads come from the 3-pack. It is that important. So you need to be listed in here. There's a couple things that you need to do, and I actually do a workshop specifically on optimizing your Google profile. So if you go to wtmarketingpros.com/workshops, you'll find that one in there. I would highly recommend you look at that and go through that process. But at the end of the day, here's what we need. It needs to have a claimed and verified listing for your business. No spam in the company name. So if your company name is Joe's Window Blinds, you can't put your business in Google as Joe's Window Blinds, Shades, Shutters, and Awnings. You can't do that. You can do that, but you'll get suspended, right? So use only your real company name, whatever's on your business ID. You need lots of online reviews. So we'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. You need a lot of citations. We'll talk a little bit more about that too. And then you need a solid link profile, which refers back to citations at the end of the day. You need a lot of links pointing to your website, right? So when you log into, after you've claimed your listing and you just do a search for your business, I did one for mine here, and I have all these icons here across the top. I've got 1, 2, 3, 6, 11 icons of things that I can do to optimize my business profile. The one that we're looking for here is the edit profile button. That's going to be the main one that will give you the option to start editing some things related to your site. Obviously, business name, what category you're in. Put a good description in there, right? This is all content that Google is going to use to decide whether to show your business when somebody does a search. So make sure that you're putting all of this information in there as well, and optimize that the best you can. Now, I mentioned citations. Citations basically are mentions of your website around the web, and those ultimately influence whose website shows up in the map with the pins, right? So the more citations you have, the more links you have coming from other relevant sites pointing to yours, the more often you're going to show up in the Google 3-pack. There are a lot of these different citation pages. This is just a small list of some of those, but some of those we'll know. Facebook obviously is a big one. Yelp is a big one. Better Business Bureau is one that you need to be listed on. But overall, there are hundreds of these sites. Now, there are some tools you can use. WhiteSpark, MozLocal, BrightLocal, and Yext are the biggest ones out there. For our company, we use BrightLocal. We've just found that that is the best one for getting a lot of this done. And you can submit citations through the system. They have a list of all these different websites. You hit submit one time and it starts building those for you. Obviously, there's a cost for that, but a great way to start building citations for your site. At the end of the day, what you're after is ranking number one when somebody does a search in your area for whatever keyword you're wanting to rank for. Typically, that's going to be something like window treatments or blinds or shutters, something like that. This is a client that we have on the island of Maui. You can see the middle here where he is actually located, that he is number one when somebody does a search for window treatments. And as you move further and further away from his actual office, he's still number one everywhere because mostly of citations and reviews. Those are the main key factors here of what we're after. And that's what everybody should be after, right? Another piece to this is the online reviews. So you have to have a decent amount of reviews. When we're looking at the Google 3-pack, you could consider it like a three-legged stool. There are three things you need. You need an optimized website. You need a physical location close to where you're trying to rank, right? Close to town. And you need a lot of reviews. Those are the three pieces. So having reviews, asking for reviews, and getting those 5-star reviews is going to influence when you show up in the results in this 3-pack area. Now, in this case, we've got Coastal Shutter Company as our client. They're listed right here in the 3rd spot. They're also listed first in the organic rankings. So these things work together to really start to promote your business higher and higher and get more eyeballs on your brand at the end of the day. Now, one thing you can do here is if you have a list of past customers, grab that list and email them. Say, hey, I'm really glad that we've done business before, and you might need to tweak this message a bit, but thank you for working with us. We've been, in this case, celebrating 50 years. Here's an easy way to let us know how we did. I would definitely reach out to them and make sure that they've left you a review, or at least ask, right? I don't see a downside to this. Now, if you use the lead boomerang system, this is a system that we CRM on steroids that we built specifically for the window treatment and awning industry. If you're using that, there is a simple send a review request. You click that button, you choose who you want to send it to, and off it goes. There's an automation behind the scenes that reminds them and gets more of those 5-star reviews. So this system works absolutely great. But no matter what, you need some sort of system in place that when the install is complete, that you ask for a review. Now, one thing that we do for our clients as well is we print out business cards for every one of our clients. And they're not really business cards. They're more, would you mind leaving us a review cards? So on the front, a logo, maybe some contact info. And then on the back, really big, is a QR code that takes them to that page to leave a review. So this is great because your installers, while they're standing there with Mrs. Jones and she is so excited about her new shades, you can say, Mrs. Jones, thank you so much. Would you mind shooting this QR code and leaving us a review? That would be fantastic. So some of our clients incentivize their installers to do this at the end of the install. You cannot incentivize a customer to leave you a review. So you can't say, Mrs. Jones, leave us a review and we'll give you $50 off or something like that. Although I've had a couple contractors at my house that have done that in person. I guess, who am I going to tell? But officially, according to Google's terms of service, you cannot incentivize a customer to leave you a review. But these cards work great. They're an easy, simple way to get more reviews for your company. Now, at the end of the day, all of this stuff that we talked about really comes down to being consistent and continually optimizing, updating your site, and continuing to optimize everything. So I'm going to switch my camera here because I think my camera crashed. Here we go. You guys can see me now. All right, let's jump back over here. All right, consistency is what it's all about. And we're almost finished here. So let's review real quick. There's a lot of things involved in what I talked about. Around SEO structure, you need to have the right title tags, meta descriptions, heading tags in place, especially that H1 tag, that top level tag. When it comes to local SEO dominance, you need to have the right kind of layout. Do some keyword research or use my tool to help you get that done quicker. Optimize your Google business profile, build citations or use one of those tools, and then get more reviews. These are the things that are going to help you in the overall scheme of what we call our digital dominance method. So this particular workshop was all about awareness and that early stage dealing with customers. You could also call this the top of the funnel, right? The awareness stage. That's kind of where we're at. So let's jump over and see what kind of questions I might have here. I'm going to move that over here so I can see if there are any questions. So, all right. How many reviews do I need to break into the top 3 local pack results? So kind of an ambiguous answer. The answer here is more than your competitors. That is typically the case. If we're looking at the 3-stool thing here, we need to be located as centrally located to the center of town. However, proximity is not one of the main, it is one of the main pieces. It's not the only one, right? So closer to the center of town, the better. How optimized your site is, and then the number of reviews that you have. So if you have 2 competitors that are closer to town, they've done their SEO, and they have poor reviews, then you get more reviews than them or the same amount as them right in that area, you'll probably get into that 3-pack. Good question. It's not the only thing, but it is one of the main things, and it should be something that you are just continually hammering away at. Budget Blinds is really good at this for some locations. Some locations have 500-600 reviews. It's just crazy, but they've got a system down where at the end of the install, they're asking for that review every single time. All right, other questions. I got to look at my other screen here. Can I apply these tactics even if I'm just starting out and don't have many customers yet? Absolutely. One of the first things you're going to do as a startup is get a website built. You can certainly get that going and optimize your site. You can optimize your Google profile. You can do all of these things. You can build citations. There are a lot of things that we actually do for new clients before we even launch their new site. Citations is a great example of this. So you can start building citations immediately because you have a location, you have a name, you have an address, you have a phone number for the business. Those are what you need in order to start building those pieces. So you can do that before the website is even ready to go. So absolutely, there are things that you can do even if you're starting out. And then as you start getting customers and getting those reviews, you can start worrying about more about the 3-pack and starting to move up into that. So absolutely. The other thing you can do along those lines is look at those keywords and find keywords that people are typing in, but maybe your competitors are not really ranking for very well. You might be able to grab some quick low-hanging fruit keywords and rank for those, get those jobs, get those reviews, and then start working on the good ones. So great question. Any other questions here? Do Google posts still help with SEO for my Google business profile listing? Yes. So at the end of the day, Google is what do they say? The 800-pound gorilla in the room, right? So anything that we can do, any tool that Google gives us, we should be using, right? If they're letting us post on our Google business profile, we should be doing it. I don't see any downside to it. Also, YouTube, they are owned by Google. So if you are okay with doing video related stuff, then that is a great way to start to separate yourself from some of your competitors as well. Google Posts, using YouTube, a lot of these other Google tools that are out there, you definitely should be using to your advantage because Google's probably going to reward you for using their own stuff, right? I don't see a downside to that. So, all right. I think that's all of the questions. Nope, there's one more here. If my business has multiple service areas, should I create separate Google profiles? Yes. If you have physical locations in more than one area, you should have a separate Google business profile for each of those. What you can't do or shouldn't do is get some fake addresses all around town and claim all of those. It might work for a short time, but you're probably going to end up getting your account suspended. Not worth it. Now, if you have physical locations, 20, 30 miles apart from each other, definitely you should have individual Google business profiles for each of those. And that would basically, they would overlap at some point. Once you're doing a lot of optimization, they'll start to overlap and then you'll start to get even more rankings because they're working together. Another part of that is if you can rank twice in a Google search, that means you're pushing a competitor down, right? So having multiple locations that are legit is a fantastic way to go. All right, cool. Well, let's press on here. I've got a couple last things I want to get to you. So let's talk about some free stuff. So next month's workshop is leveraging the list, how to profit from current and new prospects. We're going to talk all about the list. There's a saying in the internet marketing world that there is money in the list. So if you have a list of past customers, people that you've done business with, people that you didn't do business with but had reached out at one point, there's money in that list. So we're going to talk all about leveraging that and how you can profit from that list. That is going to be on Tuesday, July 15. This is the QR code to register for that. So go ahead and grab a seat, I guess, at the next workshop so that you're registered, so that you know when we're going live with this. You can use that QR code right there to get to that. Now, my book, I have my book right here in front of me, 10 Quick Wins, Winning Fast Online for Window Treatment Companies. This book is fantastic. It is 10 chapters of 10 things that you can implement for your business that are going to move the needle when it comes to better rankings, getting more leads, getting that phone to ring more often. So I've just pulled open chapter 4 here. It's all about evergreen content. It talks about implementation strategies, tools and resources, common mistakes to avoid, some real world examples, and then quick wins or ways that you can use evergreen content to win quickly for your business. Fantastic book. Not very big. I think it's, how many pages is this? Let's see here. 71 pages. That's 10 chapters of things that you can do for your business. Go grab that for absolutely free. I'll stick it in the mail to you, and you'll have it in just a couple days. So we'd love to get that book into your hands. And then we talked about the keywords. If you missed that earlier, here's the QR code for that. Or you can go to wtmarketingpros.com/keywords, grab that list, and that'll give you a great head start for optimizing your site, optimizing your profile, and getting more eyeballs on your brand. And then lastly, if you want to talk to me about things that we can do to help your business grow, I've been doing this digital marketing thing for a while now. Would love to pull up your website, give you some good ideas on things that you're doing correctly or incorrectly. And then, of course, talk about how we can help you build your business as well to get more leads. wtmarketingpros.com/strategy. That goes straight to my calendar. You can get a time on there and we can chat about what you're up to, what you've been doing, and ways that maybe we can help you if there's a good fit. Would love to have that conversation with you. So that's it. I hope you guys learned something. I hope it was worth your time. And we'll see you next month on the Leveraging Your List workshop. In the meantime, thank you so much for jumping on today. Hope you have a fantastic rest of your day, and go get them. See you, everybody.